What's up, gear nerds? Andrew Baena here, and we're going to be talking about NAMM 2020 because it is coming up very fast. I think it's literally next week tomorrow, which is crazy. I am super not ready for it. So I just wanted to make a pre-NAMM video, I guess you could call it, where I talk about the things that I am the most excited to see. And also, I really want to hear you guys' comments on this because this year I'm going to be under way less stress, I guess you could call it, than last year because I don't need to be running around chasing endorsements. I have that all covered, so I don't need to worry about that this year, so I can kind of enjoy myself. Also, last year, I kind of wasn't really happy with the videos I made at NAMM. I ended up basically just doing like booth walkthroughs, which, I mean, they got views, but it's not that entertaining and it has nothing to do with me at all. So I don't really want to do that again. I'm trying to think of some more creative ideas for videos. So let me know what you want to see in the comments below and I'll see if I can get a video of something to do with that if I think it's a good idea, basically. Also, be sure to follow me over on Instagram because I'm going to be posting lots of guitar porn over there over the course of the week if I actually get service and a signal there, which last year was a big problem, surprisingly. But yeah, anyway, so for this video, I'm just going to talk about the things that I've seen so far and what I am excited to see and play and get my hands on when I get to the show next week. So first and foremost, I am of course going to be talking about the companies that I have already worked with because those companies supported this channel a lot and they deserve an extra shout out for going above and beyond and helping me out. I'm going to do these in alphabetical order and I really apologize if there's any companies that I missed. I just went on NAMM's official website and scrolled through and picked the ones that I saw on there. So if your company is not on there and I've worked with you, I'm not trying to forget you on purpose, I promise. So first up is Bala Guitars. If you guys have definitely seen this guitar on my channel before, I have a purple archetype guitar from them. It's a 6-string. Really like this guitar. I have it in drop C. They have a smaller booth because they're a smaller company, but their booth last year was actually really cool. And they announced a bunch of cool stuff last year, like the Select series, which is kind of like their more budget import line, which I think are like $699 US or so. So a lot more affordable than, you know, their semi-customs, but the one that I have is the semi-custom and I really, really like it. So I'm looking forward to meeting up with those guys again because the guitar that I got was a direct result of meeting them last year at NAMM. So I'm excited to see what new stuff they've come up with. They've been posting some teasers on their Instagram page, which I'll show on the screen at this point in time. They made this like crazy all aluminum guitar, which is crazy. I mean, I know they're not the first company to do that, but I don't know, it's really interesting seeing so many guitar companies kind of move away or try to move away from wood and find alternates to wood. I don't know, it's just a cool thing to see, especially because, you know, chopping down all this wood for guitars is probably not a good thing for the environment. So I don't know, it's cool to see stuff like that. Next up is Dingwall Guitars. Of course, you guys have seen my beautiful swirly green bass, which was also a direct result of going to NAMM last year, so huge thank you to Dingwall for that. And they always have a really cool booth. Last year they had the pink swirl guitars, or pink swirl bass guitars I should say, which looked absolutely beautiful. I'm personally more happy with my green one, but the pink ones looked awesome as well. They've also teased a few of their kind of like master built Dingwall guitars on their Instagram as well, and those are basically the way more expensive ones that are like $6,000 to $8,000 I'm pretty sure. And those are always insane. I will not be playing them or touching them. I just want to look at them with my eyes because I'm way too scared to touch them, but they are always absolutely beautiful. Next up, we got Solar Guitars / Neural DSP / Fortin. If they're doing the same thing as last year, all three companies are sharing like one gigantic booth, which is very cool. One of my absolute personal favorite things of the entire year last NAMM show was actually going to the Solar Guitars artists breakfast, which was basically a breakfast that was exclusively for people that play Solar Guitars artists, you know, which of course I'm included in. And that's basically, we got to have breakfast with Ola and meet the rest of the company, and they showed us almost everything that they had planned for 2019. Actually, I guess not almost everything because they release a new model like every 2 weeks, but it was a lot of new stuff, including the 8-string guitar that I currently have. The first time I ever saw that was at NAMM last year and eventually ended up getting it. So very cool to kind of have that come into fruition, I guess you could say. So I'm really excited to see what Solar Guitars does for 2020 because they've been absolutely killing it. I love all of my Solar Guitars, and if they release some more new models, my bank account's gonna be hurting. Next up is Ernie Ball. They always have an insanely big booth. I don't have any of their guitars, but I'm always drooling over them, especially the Majesty guitars. That Tiger Eye Majesty is absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure I'll never actually own it, but I like that I can actually go and see it and touch it, because no music stores around me have anything like that, that's for sure. And they always release some crazy over-the-top stuff every year. I think last year was when they announced Jason Richardson's signature guitar, so I'm excited to see what they do this year. And also, as of this year, I'm an Ernie Ball artist, so it's really cool to kind of be able to meet the people behind the company now that I've been talking via email with them for, you know, kind of like half a year. It's always good to put a face to the name, if you know what I mean. Next up is Ormsby Guitars. You guys have been seeing a lot of this Ormsby Guitar Hype GTR right here, which is of course my newest guitar. It's an 8-string, tuned super low, absolutely awesome. Again, they have a pretty big booth, and last year was really cool. What did they release last year? I think they did like the Dino from Fear Factory signature and the Rusty Cooley signature last year. So I'm curious to see what they're doing this year. And again, last year when I talked with them, I hadn't worked with them yet, but it was kind of the good gateway to open up the conversation more with Brian Moore, who's their artist rep and runs their Instagram. So shout out to Brian Moore, because eventually I ended up getting hooked up with this Ormsby Hype guitar, and I'm absolutely loving it. Their guitars are super, super awesome, and I'm really excited to see what new models they come out with this year as well. And last but not least is Seymour Duncan. They always release something cool every year. I've seen a couple of leaked pictures of stuff that's to come, which I won't show on the screen because I don't want to undermine them or anything like that. But I'm really excited to see what new stuff they come up with. I'm really excited to see if there's like some new pickups or pedals or weird little gadgets like power amps or whatever it might be. The people at Seymour Duncan are super nice, especially AJ. Thank you to AJ for always helping me out. Yeah, so I'm really excited to meet up with them and see what they got in store. Okay, next up we're gonna move on to what I call the weird stuff. This is the like super boutique, way out of my price range guitars that I will probably never own, but I love going to NAMM and looking at them and being able to play them, because it's probably gonna be my only opportunity to ever play them, to be honest. So first up is Ocasio Guitars. I had never actually heard of them before NAMM last year, but they had this really eye-catching guitar, which was like this guitar that was, I can't remember if it was made out of carbon fiber or it had like a carbon fiber top that was weaved, so it actually looked like flame maple, but again, it's kind of a wood substitute where they somehow managed to make carbon fiber into this really cool pattern that was super eye-catching, and I really enjoyed checking out their booth last year, so I'm excited to see that again. Next up is Aristides Guitars. Their guitars are absolutely beautiful. There are actually a lot of people in Vancouver, which is where I'm from, that have their guitars, so I see them all the time around here. I don't personally own one, but they always play amazingly. It's another company that uses a wood substitute, which is their own material, which is called, what's it called? Arium. It's not made of wood, so basically it pretty much doesn't matter what environment or climate you're in. So if you're like a touring artist, that's super cool because you don't have to worry about your wood shifting and going out of tune or messing up your setup or anything like that. Pretty cool, pretty forward thinking, and their guitars are amazing and absolutely beautiful to boot. They already announced their, I think they call it the T0, which is basically their Telecaster shape, which is super nice. Excited to try that in person very soon. Next up is Comparison Guitars. So the artist rep at Fortin/Neural DSP, Zach Corey, shout out to him. I think he also works with Comparison, so he kind of told me a little bit about them. And my friend Matt Perrin, who's an angel maker, also plays Comparison Guitars. So I've seen them around and I've tried them a couple times here and there, but I kind of missed out on checking out their booth last year. They're just like a really, really high quality, awesome Japanese brand. And yeah, I kind of just missed the boat on trying them last year when I was there, so I'm excited to actually get my hands on them and see how they feel for myself. This next one is kind of a weird one because they're weird, but they're not expensive, if that makes sense. So it's a brand called Court Guitars, which a lot of people haven't really heard of because they're quite small and kind of unknown, I would say. But they've actually been branching out into more of the like modern metal, progressive, extended range type stuff. Last year they had like fan fret 8 strings and fan fret bass guitars and stuff like that, which I just thought was super weird coming from their booth because I had always thought of them as more of like a classic, like, I don't know, just made like classic Les Paul looking things, but they kind of came out of left field with that. So I'm curious to see if they continue with that or if they kind of go back to making more standard stuff. So I'm going to be checking out either way. Next up is Lsl Guitars. My friend Eric Merton, I always pronounce his last name wrong, but he has an Lsl Guitars baritone Telecaster, which we used in a video over the summer, which is actually Adam from Architect's signature guitar. Super cool stuff. It's like a 28-inch scale 6-string Telecaster, so you can tune it super low, but it still looks like a vintage Telecaster. I don't know, I think that stuff is really cool. I am all about seeing that like old school classic looking guitar, and then when you play it, it totally surprises everyone because it is not the sound that they're expecting to hear. So I'm excited to see what LSL Guitars has, and I believe Eric is also playing at that booth, so I'm obviously going to watch him when he does that. Next up is Mayonnaise Guitars. I don't know how to pronounce that still. It's definitely not mayonnaise, but it kind of sounds like that. So they're a very, very awesome company. They've done signature guitars for like John Brown for Monuments and a bunch of other pretty big progressive metal dudes like that. I never see them anywhere around me. I think they're made in Poland, I want to say. I could be wrong on that, but their booth was one of the coolest ones I saw last year. I don't know how they do it, but the woods that they pick for their tops just always look absolutely stunning. They did a bunch of stuff last year where they had like all these glow-in-the-dark guitars that looked super cool, and it's glow-in-the-dark green, so obviously I'm all about it. So I'm excited to see what they do this year. Next up is OD Guitars. This is a weird one that probably not a lot of people have heard of, but they actually make the guitars for the band Ginger, and Ginger is absolutely blowing up this year. So if you've ever been curious what they're playing on guitar and bass, I'm pretty sure they're both using OD Guitars. Super weird brand, but really cool. They do a lot of weird, like intricate cutout and inlay details that I've never really seen any other company do. It almost looks like it's like 3D printed or something. And yeah, it's just super interesting and unique. Next up is Skurvesen Guitars, another really cool custom shop out of somewhere in Europe. Again, I want to say Poland, but I'm not quite sure. I actually did a demo at their booth last year, and that was the first time I've ever played any of their instruments, and I really, really liked them. So I'm excited to see what they have this year. Again, I've seen teasers of what they're making, and it's some crazy high quality stuff, so that's very exciting. And last but not least on this list of weird builders, it's a company called Vandermeij Guitars. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I've never really seen these guitars before the past couple months, but again, I'm all over the Facebook guitar groups and Instagram and so on and so forth, and they've been posting some really cool stuff. They just posted this crazy green build that I absolutely want to see in person if they have it. Just some really, really cool, beautiful looking stuff, again, from a crazy European custom shop. Okay, and then moving on to the third category, this is the big companies. Obviously, I'm going to be going to check these out. The ones that I'm the most interested in, of course, are ESP Guitars, Ibanez, Schecter, and Kiesel. All four of these companies have crazy big booths, and I mean, even though I don't really have anything to do with any of these companies, it's always really cool to see what they come up with. I've seen pretty much most of ESP's catalog and Ibanez's catalog, but they've always got a few surprises in stock for the actual show day. And Kiesel's booth in and of itself is just ridiculous. They've got like literally spinning guitars hanging off of like rafters and shit like that, and like they have like see-through guitars made out of acrylic that glow in the dark. I don't know, man. It's just absolutely way over the top, and I'm all about it. So I'm excited to see what all four of those companies do this year as well. Okay, guys, so that does it for this video. Again, if you guys are at the NAMM show and you see me, please stop me and say hi. I'd love to meet you guys. Also, be sure to let me know in the comments what you want to see while I'm at the show. I'm going to read all the comments, and if I think it's a good idea, maybe I'll even make it into a video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I want to give an extra big shout out to my Patreon members whose names are on the screen at this point in time. Huge thank you to you guys. This channel would not be possible without you, so I just want to give an extra shout out to you guys. All right, that's going to be all for today's video. I look forward to reading your guys' comments and look forward to NAMM in a week. I'm so not ready. I got to go start packing my bags and making sure I actually have everything I need. So I'm going to go do that now. Goodbye.